Okay, class. Well, it's another week in our Teaching and Learning with Digital Technology class. And this week I just wanted to bring up a few things about information literacy and copyright. So that's the focus of the class. And there are various resources, readings. There's quite a bit actually going on this week. Um, so first off, we have a tech talk from Leandro about Sibelius, a nice little music notation software, music composition software. So take a look at that and learn a little bit about what can be done with regard to the music area, even if music isn't your area, which it probably isn't for most of you. It's a very interesting presentation about where technology has gotten in that area. Then you'll be learning about information seeking resources and information literacy in general. And so we have this nice link here for you to check out on information literacy and information seeking resources that are available out there. Of course, there will be more than what's listed here at your own school where you're working or at Northern State University with the library access and so forth, but it's good to kind of know about some of these if you want to do a student project where they are going to have to do some information seeking. Then you'll watch a couple of presentations, one on information seeking introduction and one on guidelines for developing information seeking projects. And then chapter 2 from the textbook you'll read, and then there are some readings on copyright. So we move into copyright. We're going to talk about fair use, how that works in education and so forth. And so if you read those copyright items, you'll have a chance to look at those. Then there's a video on open license multimedia, and there's a link to copyright-free resources. And so open license multimedia means that there is media out there that is not copyrighted. So in the US currently, copyright laws are very strict, some of the most strict in the world, such that if I create something, then you cannot use it unless I give you express permission to use that thing, or show it in your classroom and so forth. So you'll read about fair use and how fair use allows us to use these materials for educational purposes so that copyright laws aren't too strict on educators so that educators can use materials for teaching and learning. So of course as educators we're very interested in fair use because it allows us to use copyrighted materials in the classroom that we would not otherwise be able to use for other purposes as long as it's for an educational purpose. So, and then you look at open licensed and copyright-free resources. Well, these are resources that have been made available under a not as strict copyright rule, so that they can be used more than just by educators for educational purposes. They could also be used as student projects and share those, or as educational teacher projects to share and so forth. And so that's something that you'll learn about this week as well. Now there aren't really any assignments that you submit to me this week, but if you look at April 10th through the 15th, you're going to want to be paying attention to some of the items that you're going to be reading today, this week I mean, because there's a copyright poster that you'll complete next week. And so create a poster. You're going to create a poster that informs your audience about copyright and or fair use for their specific situation. You can choose one of many different audiences, whether it's school teachers in K-12, students in a high school digital media class, students in a basic elementary classroom. You know, there's different places. You can choose one of these audiences and then create a poster that informs them about what they can and cannot do with certain resources on the internet according to copyright law. Okay, so you have to kind of be clear to them, like you cannot use resources like these ones and post them online, or you can do this or that. So that's why you want to be paying attention this week to what you learn about copyright, because next week you'll have to create that poster. Now it's not a very in-depth poster by any means. It's sort of a simple, you know, as posters are, they're usually pretty simple. And you'll use one of these tools like Posterini or Smore or Canva, and create a poster and attach it to the discussion board next week to tell about copyright laws and about what that audience can do with copyright. So just be aware of that. That's coming up, but that's not due until next week. This week you just want to gather what information you can about copyright and information seeking in order to be able to complete that assignment next week. So I think that's about it. But just to be aware, again, the US has some of the strictest laws in the world on copyright. We are not allowed to use copyrighted materials for any purpose unless we have the permission of the author. And in fact, any item that becomes made, basically, so any item that is created automatically comes with a copyright. It's not something that you have to put copyright 2017 on the bottom of to make something copyrighted. It already is copyrighted once it is created. So an idea, though, cannot be copyrighted because it's still an idea, but once it becomes fixed and tangible in a medium, such as a video or a painting or um, um, a recording, once it becomes something like that that's separate from the idea, then it is copyrighted automatically under US law. And so how do we get around that when we want to share materials in our classroom with our students? And that's where fair use comes in. It allows us to share things for educational purposes. So that's copyright in a nutshell. You'll be reading much more about that this week and the next a little bit as we continue on. Boy, we're getting pretty close to the end, though, of this class. It's coming up. So have a great week.